Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I am Protomario, and today we're reviewing the Nintendo GameCube. The Nintendo GameCube was a 6th generation console that was released to the market in the midst with PS2 and Xbox. This system was released by Nintendo and was the first functioning full CD gaming system issued and used by Nintendo, officially adopted back in 2001, if I am correct. And I believe I am. So, what is the GameCube? Is this thing just a nice big stacking block? You could literally make a house out of this. This thing is so tough. Surprisingly enough, several of the different game systems that were released in the 6th generation were not so tough. The Xbox being the most rugged, and that thing could literally kill someone if it was dropped on said person. While this one was quite an interesting concept, being that it is one just big cube, and this would actually pave the way for several different PC manufacturers to actually make a PC that looks and acts just like the GameCube, fully functioning, and would also introduce concepts of much more miniaturized PCs through this technology today. Things such as netbooks and the micro PC Acer versions that you may have seen that do not have a CD disk drive but are a fully functioning personal computer. They are tiny and about 1/4 the size of this. Thanks to Nintendo's ingenuity, this paved the way for these said models. But let's take a closer look at the Nintendo GameCube. As you can see, mine is a little bit beat up as it was over in the Middle East with me, but that just shows its rugged durability. The design is quite a curious one, as it is a big square. There's not much different about this. Everything that goes on it, any attachment you could put on it, it's all square. On the front, you can see the giant circle black piano glossy Nintendo GameCube logo to ensure that you know this is the Nintendo GameCube, as well as a Nintendo trademarked grinded in symbol. It's pretty nice, I have to say. I always enjoy it when something's ground in rather than a sticker. On the front, you can see ground in power, and the power button is a separate color from this. Speaking of colors, the Nintendo GameCube came in a variety of flavors, purple being the first and most obvious color that it came in, and then it went to black and silver. Black being the later version, and of course you could also get it in several other said colors as the special editions were released. However, the colors were limited, unlike the Nintendo 64 were. Continuing on the front, you can see that this has the traditional reset button, and right here, if you had turned on the power button, this would light up telling you that with a orangish LED that your power was on. Another great feature I do enjoy, because sometimes your electric outlets and things of that nature can go out on you, and this means you wouldn't know if your Nintendo GameCube was working or not. So, let's have a look-see at this button right here, a most important button to almost any CD-based gaming system, the open button. One press and this will open the game up for you. Inside you can see I have the said Gameboy Player disc, a big necessity when you're playing the Game Boy Player. On the top open panel here, you may not be able to read it, but it says several warnings, which I do enjoy. I like that. You put the warnings on the game system itself just in case you lost your manual. Do not touch the lens. As with all gaming lenses, you are not supposed to move them, touch them, because you can lose the ball bearings and misalign them, meaning they will no longer be able to read discs properly. In the front here, you may not be able to see it too well, but I can move it around a bit. You can see that this has a mini disc operating system, something that almost no other gaming console ever even attempted at the time. Mini discs were not the wave of the future, as Nintendo may have thought. However, mini discs did hold almost as if not more information than said DVDs of the time. 7 gigabytes is what a mini disc can hold, and depending on its format, it can hold even more. On the front side, you can see we have 4 controller ports, unlike the PlayStation 2 where you had to buy an adapter if you wanted 2 more controllers. This was very nice for games such as Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, big hitters that Nintendo knew were big. On here, you can see said port will allow you to insert a memory card, bam, as such, and the controller input looks similar to this. One goes in said port, such like that. Very simple concepts. Without a memory card, you were unable to save your information, and this was a big new thing that Nintendo had incorporated. Along the front here, you can also see the attachment for the Gameboy Player. And normally this did not come with the Nintendo GameCube, but the Gameboy Player is so cheap nowadays that you are able to actually buy it for less than $5 to include the disc and hardware. Insanely cheap. On the underside, you would pretty much see an expansion port for said Gameboy Player. And on the back side, you can see the heatsink right here. Allow me to lower the camera a bit for you. The heatsink here would allow for the heat to actually flow out, but not fan out, because this is not where the fan is. Over here's the power input, and this did not have the brick built inside of it, much like the older Nintendo 64 version and SNES, but rather the brick was outside, which, again, is a new and adopted concept nowadays. Over here you can see this is your AV import, and there is no coaxial import or any other type of imports, inputs, anything else possible to be put in the back. Along right here, you may be curious as to why this thing has a handle, and I am too, because this is one of the weirdest concepts for a video game console I have ever seen in my life. Putting a handle on it because you can carry it wherever you need to go, apparently. On the left side facing the controller port, there is a fan, and this is what actually shoots the heat out rather than allowing the heat to dissipate. So this drags air in and out. I am not 100% sure if it's only air in and only air out, but I would assume that on the other side is the air out, because this has no fan, but I am pretty sure this is where heat is directed out of. So that is the Nintendo GameCube. And even though it came in 3rd place in the console war, it is a fairly powerful system, sponsored by ATI Graphics. It was a 6th generation console, as I stated before. It also incorporated several different things, such as wireless controllers, the Wavebird being the forefront of this, allowing it to actually connect much like a Bluetooth headset or Xbox wireless controller. The processing unit was 486 megahertz and was produced by IBM. It had a 750 CXE based core, roughly 50 new vector instructions, which means it came out with very interesting new tech. And as I stated before, it had the mini discs. Now, I won't bore you with the schematics here or anything else about this, but the Nintendo GameCube was among the most unique gaming system that was ever released. This console was released September 14th, 2001, and in Japan it was released November 18th. Oh man, I flipped those. I'm sorry, not that it matters. One last note, allow me to show you over here. This is my connections for the GameCube, and as you can see, this GameCube does allow the use of S-Video. There is also a rare connection cable that was released very late in the GameCube's life, and usually only released to Japan, that allowed you to connect it via component and have 480p on your video games. This component cable is very expensive and can range from $70 to $100. So if you are looking to play your GameCube games in component in 480p or widescreen, that would be the way to go. However, I would strongly suggest just getting a Wii rather than a Nintendo GameCube with the adapter. So guys, this is the Nintendo GameCube, and if you haven't picked up one of these, they are extremely cheap, and I actually remember going into a GameStop once and seeing a fort built out of cardboard boxes housing these GameCubes, because there were so many, and it is so plentiful. Much unlike the Xbox and the PS2, this thing is so cheap that you could probably get it for a fraction of an expensive dinner at a restaurant. If you haven't experienced the GameCube yet, what are you waiting for? This thing is cheap, plentiful, fun, and has a housing library of many extremely great games such as Zelda, Metroid Prime, Mario Kart, Super Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. But the bottom line is, games make the system, and this one had tons and tons of top games to play. I'm Protomario, I'm signing out, and I hope this GameCube review got you interested in this gaming system.